Evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Michelle, and over the next 30 minutes, we're going to be discussing the virtual reality immersive education program at Friends with Jess Newley. So after a brief introduction by Jess, we will move to the Q&A. And I think with just 6 of us, you can just kind of wave a hand or raise your virtual hand and we'll answer questions. Doesn't need to be quite so structured with the number of people. We are trying this new digital platform. I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you. We are jumping into text giving. So if you would like to text the word friends to the phone number on your screen, you can make a donation to support this virtual education program, or you can go online. And I should let you know too that we have a $1,000 match for any donations received by Monday. And pause, excuse me for one moment, we have a guest joining. Okay, there we go, sorry. All right, before I turn this over to Jess, just a quick little background on her. She is our Marine Program Assistant. And boy, if she isn't perfectly positioned for this program, I don't know who is. Jess has skills as a diver and a snorkeler. She's got a master's degree in environmental education. She's got amazing talent and skill when it comes to filmmaking and photography, topped off by her passion for the sail of she. Like, I think she can get nearly anyone excited about it. It's really an honor to work with her because I love to see what she does. I'm not a diver at all. So to get to see the picture she has in her background and see how big these anemones are, it's just really impressive for me. And she's a good sport. So when we did our Give Big Thank You to our donors, Jess with the help of Bruce did this kind of swimming through the Salish Sea and then popping up with a sign that said thank you. So I really appreciate Jess and her being such a good sport. I will turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Michelle. It's definitely making me blush. Thank you guys, everybody, for coming tonight on such a beautiful summer evening, hot evening in the islands here. It's nice to see your faces. Yeah, so the immersive education program, it's kind of, I think of it as like my dream program, really, my passion program, that's for sure. Like Michelle said, it combines all of my favorite things to do. Yeah, with the technology and the underwater filming, with environmental education, like experiential education, so actually doing hands-on with the students, which is another part of this program. And then, yeah, I mean, right now, because of this program, my job is to go out and go snorkeling, which is pretty cool. And last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, I got to go out and document an eelgrass planting project with Pride Harbor Labs and the Conservation District and DNR, and that kind of also, that was for this program. And part of the program is to show students like a day in the field with like a field scientist. And so I got to follow that team around as they were boating around and transferring the eelgrass stalks and planting them and snorkeling and going down in the water. So I was running around doing above water and underwater photography. So it's really fun, really, that's it. It's really fun for me. But yeah, I'll tell you just to start kind of the basic elements, I guess, of this program. And the first thing, the main thing is the video. And so that's what I'm doing right now, is getting that footage. And it's going to be, and right now it looks like we're going to be going into schools or students' homes beginning of 2021. So about around New Year's time, and just depending on what the school situation is or lack thereof, will be how this program's implemented. But it's pretty cool that it's already made for virtual education. And so that was the idea to begin with is I love taking underwater videos and photos to give people the opportunity to see what I'm experiencing underwater, and see the Salish Sea and its natural habitat and everything. So the cool thing about that is with virtual reality, you can put on these funny looking goggles and you can be immersed in the water. And that's the only gear it takes, really. You don't need all of the special equipment, all the cold water protection stuff. And so that was the goal, is to give students that opportunity to swim under the surface, like I do, and experience the Salish Sea in a different way. So yeah, that's the main element, is this video. And there's 3 elements within that video, and one's forage fish and eelgrass. Number 2 is salmon, and number 3 is orcas. And of course, students in the islands, they grow up knowing these things. But I thought it'd be super valuable to give students kind of that different side and the more personal connection, like when you're reading about something or seeing, even just looking at pictures, it's a lot different if you're able to actually feel immersed in that environment, experience things on your own. Hopefully it'll ignite a sense of wonder under the surface, give students ideas on different careers in the field, in the marine conservation field and science, especially around the islands. But yeah, so right now that's what I'm working on, is the footage for the video. And then secondly is a curriculum package, which will be going along to give to the teachers, and when I go and visit the classrooms, or again, depending on if it's at home for the students. But there'll be a curriculum, so there'll be some before things to get them prepared for the video, get them thinking about in the headspace. And then there'll be an activity, a questionnaire activity, as the students are in the video and swimming around and looking at these different things, and in the boat with the scientists, and as they're planting eelgrass. And really, again, it's just to not tell them what to think, but really just kind of give them, critical thinking, have them look at this environment, have them by themselves acknowledge some pressures, some threats to the ecosystems and opportunities, and just get them, that sense of wonder and joy, and then also a critical thinking part that maybe just reading a textbook wouldn't give them. So that's the curriculum. And then the third part of the program is a field trip to the beach, so with the scientists. And right now the plan is with Tina, the science director at Friends, and we'll go to a local beach by the students' school and do some forage fish sampling on the beach. And then so they can also get the real hands-on experiential education part too. So yeah, that's the 3 elements of the program. And yeah, you guys ready for some questions?
So we've got a question in chat from Janet, and it says, has eelgrass transplantation been done in this region before? I know that it was successful in Tomales Bay in California.
Yeah, it's a great question. I'll admit that I have been learning a lot about eelgrass in the past 6 months to 12 months. Listening to other scientists working with eelgrass. And as far as I know, I think this is one of the first, definitely in the islands, it's the first time that they are transplanting. This project that I documented was I guess you could say experiential program. So they're gonna see if it works. And we did it at Westcott Bay, which maybe all of you islanders know that Westcott is one of those really, critical habitats, a herring spawn habitat. And now the eelgrass is completely gone. So it went from this really getting critical habitat where the herring were spawning and lots of eelgrass, and now there's none. And so to get eelgrass there again would be really awesome. So yeah, this project definitely in the islands, I know for sure is the first time. And so they'll see how it goes. And then I guess if it doesn't go well, they try something else and keep on trying, which is good. And they also did Blind Bay too. Good question. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Okay, we have another one that was sent in to us, and it says, Jess, what have you observed while snorkeling in the near shore that has surprised you?
Mm. Well, I guess, I mean, I'll start with the super positive thing that comes to mind. And that was the last couple of weeks, I've been snorkeling off the south end of Lopez, off Davis Head. And I got pleasantly surprised to see a huge school of Pacific sand lance. So that was really, really cool. Yeah, and it surprised me how unafraid they were. Like normally when I see little fish and like bait fish and yeah, other forage fish type of things, they scatter and they're really timid. And these sand lance weren't, which is like a underwater photographer's dream. So that was really nice. And that's actually, if you guys saw at the promo pictures for this, that's of those sand lance from Lopez that I took last week. So that was like my best surprise or present for me. And then I would say overall, like Bruce knows I've been going out and started snorkeling in the spring, probably in March and April. I was trying to get the herring spawn. And overall, what's been surprising, and it's not a positive thing, is the lack of life, really, and how much. And this is always true for wildlife photography, is you realize how many days you really need to be in the water and different locations you need to try. You can't just go out and go to the west side, jump in the water, and there's your, giant Pacific octopus and your sea lions swimming and your forage fish getting eaten by the salmon, getting eaten by the whale. I was like, I wish I would be like that. So maybe that's my fault for being surprised, but I've definitely been figuring out or reminded that it's not so easy to get this stuff on camera and to get this footage. But that's okay. I need to get in the water more and keep on looking around. And it's really interesting too, because, our shorelines are so different. The eelgrass beds and the kelp beds and rocky cliffs and sandy and muddy, and everything is completely different. So you kind of really need to go and check out the location and figure out what's going to be under the water, and then you can kind of figure out if it's going to be a good place to go back to or go to the next place. But yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we have a question from Tobin, and he would like to know, what is killing the eelgrass?
Great question. So it's one of those answers where just, I think a lot like the salmon, it's not such an easy answer. It's not one thing. There's, to put it simply, it's the multiple pressures on the system and on the eelgrass beds. But everything from climate change and warming water, warming temperatures, to turbidity in the water, and that can be caused from shoreline development and erosion. So if you don't have that natural vegetation on land and you have new houses, things can be getting stirred up, and then that's kind of drowning or suffocating the eelgrass. One of the programs that me and Tina are working on with Friends of the San Juans right now is an anchor out of eelgrass for boaters. So boaters also play a small role in that. Every time an anchor goes into an eelgrass bed, it gets pulled out. And as we're learning more and more, it's really hard to for that eelgrass to come back. So, especially imagine all of the visitors we have in the islands right now. You think just one little boat, one anchor isn't going to do much harm, but thousands and thousands of boats doing that, it really adds up. And so we're making a big push for that. And part of that, Tina and Friends of San Juans mapped eelgrass 10 years ago. And we have a map to show where the eelgrass beds are around the islands and to show the depths, which isn't available in a lot of places. And so, yeah, we're doing presentations to boating clubs and trying to get that tool, that map, out into boaters' hands to avoid the eelgrass. What else? Pressures. Yeah, again, it's just kind of that multitude of pressures on the system. That's they're having a hard time. Some disease too doesn't help. Yeah.
Jess, what about the outflow off North Beach on Orcas? There's a comment from Janet.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, so that like any type of turbidity in the water and water quality issues, definitely. You know, I'd actually, Janet, if you'd want to help me, it'd be pretty cool to go and stick my little camera down there at the outflow and maybe document that. I think maybe it'd be cool for like Orcas Island students too to see that, you know, one of their like pollution, you know, points there. Yeah. Yeah, and a problem too is eelgrass needs sunlight, so that's why it grows in a lot of the shallow places around the shoreline. And so if anything is blocking the sun from getting to it, it can't photosynthesize and grow like it needs to. So if that outflow is really, you know, heavy and a shadow over the eelgrass, that's also a thing, a physical thing to think about. And not related, but kind of is also like docks. So anytime that we have marinas and docks, that is another thing that is blocking that sunlight to the eelgrass. Another thing to think about.
Great. Okay. So I love that Tobin has his wine delivered to him while he is attending our webinar.
Is that what happened? That's what that was?
I'm glad to see
Cheers,
you. Okay, so Carol Kibble has her hand up. And you're muted. There you go. Oops. We're still muted, Carol.
Oh, okay.
There you
How's
go.
that?
There you
Okay.
go. Perfect.
Yeah, I know nothing about virtual reality technology. And I'm just wondering, I can't visualize a class in doing that with kids. How do you organize that and how does it work?
Okay, well, let's start from the basics of virtual reality. I too did not know a lot about virtual reality and 360 filming until Bruce came into the office one day with a 360 camera. And then I kind of went on a fast track of learning about this. But so this is a 360 camera. It's really small. This is the one. It's a way smaller one than some people's. And then this is the underwater housing. So it's just like a little plastic.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
Wow. And yeah, and I pretty much, I have a little tripod and a weight. And when I go swimming, I just stick it like into the bed of eelgrass or wherever I'm filming. And I leave it there. And it's a lot different from filming regular video, like regular underwater video, or even on land. You'd like, you know, you follow somebody around. With this, you're kind of documenting like the whole scene. It's picking up everything. So you're kind of, you're not moving and the camera's sitting still. And then you're watching everything around.
All around you. Oh my gosh, yeah.
So yeah, so you get the footage and you make a video, and then you put it into these goggles.
Okay.
And one of the things, so because of COVID, these are really nice goggles. They're about $150 around each. We probably are going to go a different route. Luckily, VR technology, it is still kind of like on the cusp, cutting edge, but especially in the classroom and in the medical field, in the last 2 years, it's become super popular. So there's a lot of different options right now, which is really exciting. And there's a lot of different options for goggles. And one that I'm probably going to go with now that I didn't plan for is the Google has a cardboard set. So They're actually only like $5. They come in the mail, and it's made out of cardboard. And students can actually build the goggles.
Cool.
But yeah, which is cool because that knocks off a STEM, like an engineering. If you build your own goggles, it knocks off a STEM for a curriculum, which is good. And then they get to keep it. And then also the point of that is we won't be sharing and passing the goggles like we normally do for friendly reasons. But so the original idea would be that students pair up in the classroom, and each one of them has, and that each pair has a pair of goggles, and one will put these on, and we just have the video loaded, and they go right into the video. And then their partner has a set of questions that kind of leads them and guides them on this journey. And then they take it off, and then students kind of present to each other what they saw and what they learned, and questions that they came to their mind, and things they want to learn out about more. And that was kind of the idea in the classroom. So yeah.
How many students in a class? How many do you have to?
So I decided to go with high school students just because attention span, technology. And so we're doing it on Lopez High School, Orcas, Spring Street, and Friday Harbor High School. And they vary a lot, but around 15 to 25 students in a class.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
You guys want to see? Do you want to see a video of me snorkeling?
I'd love it.
360. It won't be 360 because
we don't have.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the thing too is luckily it's becoming more accessible in a lot of different ways. And this is the plan for the program too, is kind of pilot it in the local schools, and then we'll put it on like YouTube. And with your cell phone now, like YouTube, Vimeo, there's a lot of 360 applications. Maybe even, I guess, Facebook, and you just kind of you don't even need goggles. You just swipe your phone and you can look around.
Oh.
And so that'll be, and then that way we can reach regional and expand, so like one day students in Colorado will be able to swim under the Salish Sea, which will be pretty cool.
Terrific.
Okay, I'll show you
amazing
a video. So yeah, again, this won't be 360, but you'll get an idea, I think.
Jeez. Is that you, or who's that? Swimming?
And now I'm swimming down to the eelgrass bed.
Oh my God.
Now I'm putting the camera into the eelgrass. I just anchor it down, and then I go to the surface and I leave it there.
Wow. How far down is that actually, do you think?
Not very far, probably 15 feet. And then, so then, I do this a lot, and I hope for like schools of fish going by, and that's kind of what I was talking about. And most of the time it's just water and eelgrass, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm figuring out some sweet spots. And actually all next week, there's a woman, Ann Schaefer, who's coming from the peninsula, and she's bringing a boat, and we're going to go out and look for forage fish and kelp and eelgrass around the islands. And having a boat, I think I'll have more opportunity to get into some cooler, more diverse places. So
Wonderful. Wow, that's revolutionary. That's really something.
Well, I can't wait to show you once I have the actual video done. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's boy, I think students will be really excited about that. It's really something.
Yeah, I hope it kind of just, lets them, again, I think that students in the island, they know forage fish and salmon and orcas, but I think that more like personal experience and connection in a different way might lead, to something else. So.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, do we have some more questions? Tobin, do you have another question?
Brent, Bruce, come on.
Sure, I could talk all day about education programs. So you said it's for high school, and ninth grade is different from 12th grade. Is there a sweet spot for you in terms of the students you're hoping to reach with this? And I'm also curious about how you've sort of how you've built in evaluation of the program, and just sort of like how will you know if it's successful? How will you know if it's reached, achieved the goals that you had for it?
Cool. Yeah, great questions. Yeah, I mean, so I will admit right now August, September is my curriculum time. So I'm going to dive deeper, get it, into that instead of all the water time. And I'll really be hashing that out. But the original plan was 10th and 11th grade. And really, I need to start meeting with the teachers and just seeing their needs. And that was part of it too, is to have little conferences and meetings with the teachers and figure out, what they're teaching, which classes they have that would make the most sense and fit with their curriculum. And so that really is going to, I think, guide what classrooms we end up doing it in. And then what was your other question? What was your second one?
Yeah, the question.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so my plan is to do like pre and post evaluations. So before I even come into the classroom at all, I'll ask this, a list of questions about kind of just exploring the students' knowledge of these topics, exploring, their interests and careers and after school, and kind of see what kind of ideas they have on what's out there. And it'll probably be like a 10 to 15 question evaluation, and then I'll do the exact same questions post after we visit and after the trip to the beach and everything. And that's my plan to help gauge the effectiveness of the program. And I think getting a lot of feedback too from the teachers is going to help, and go from there afterwards. Yeah. Bruce?
Here. I started to type out a question. I know your amazing skills with video in general, and I was just going to ask how you've had to change your strategy for filming to capture a 360 shot when you realize your camera is always looking at you and you're trying to get the best view and dealing with smaller organisms maybe. And
Yeah, so yeah, it is tricky. Well, I'm gonna plug my computer in before it dies. Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is what I mentioned, as you know too, is just that difference in trying to get myself out of the shot, which is really tricky. So when you're holding the camera and the case, like they do have these like magic sticks that if you're holding it the right way, though, you can edit it out and you're kind of invisible wherever that point is. And that's a whole learning curve of trying to, so like even if I'm gonna weigh down and use a tripod, at first I used like a really bright ankle weight, and then I realized, oh, that's gonna show up. So you really have to have this like condensed, slimmed down any kind of equipment you add to this, because you don't want it to show up, and you kind of want it in that sweet spot right underneath the camera. So that's super tricky. And yeah, it's been challenging, like especially I did find a school of herring off of Indian Island on Orcas, and Tina was stand-up paddleboarding, and she saw this huge shadow underneath her. Ooh. And she's like, Jess, fish! So I swim over. Shark. And it was really cool. I was following right behind them, and I didn't have a long stick, so I'm following right behind them, and I knew I needed to get out of the shot. And the herring, it was a massive, like big to where like if it was above me, there'd be no sunlight. Like they were really dense school of fish. Oh my. And then so I went and I was like, okay, I need to get myself out of the shot, and like, because you can't just do that. You can't just swim like you would with a regular video camera, And so I went down and I swam into them, and it was really, they like did that thing where they split apart and like do the shape. I don't know if you see that in the movies, or I can't remember what movies have done this, but you kind of see the shape of different stuff. I swam through the fish and I put it down on the ground, and I got to the surface really quick into the shoreline, and me and Tina were both so excited. Actually, it was right before we had to go to a staff meeting. So I filmed for 20 minutes, and then I had to go and find the camera, which took a long time because, I lost it because I was so excited and threw it down in the middle of fish. And then I finally looked at the footage, and it literally, there's fish when I'm swimming with it. The second it hits the ground into the eelgrass, it's 30 minutes of nothing. You don't ever see a fish again. So I really do. I need to start, and maybe someone can help me if anyone's interested, Bruce, figuring out some more, because I think depending on the species, I think I have to stay swimming with them, and it's more about getting like a longer pole, and that way it looks like I'm swimming, and like students can just turn and look, and there's just swimming behind them instead of like holding a camera all weird, So you have to figure out that sweet spot where it's, so trial and error. We're still figuring out all these things, huh?
Wow.
That's really amazing to think about. I hadn't thought about the 360 view and yourself and trying to get it out and how different. That was a great question.
Are there other VR education programs that you've been kind of using as models, or are you making, like, how much of this have you been able to learn from others who've done this kind of thing before?
There's a lot of articles and research done. I signed up for one. I've only found one that's like a curriculum package inside of a school classroom, and I signed up for it, and I don't think I ever got sent the materials because I wanted to see how they were doing it. But a lot of it is, so I haven't, this is kind of a best example of what happens. Our school, the science school Friday Harbor, they have a great STEM program there. They whole STEM building even. And I went to talk to the science teacher to ask him for his support for this program when I was writing the grants. And he was like, yeah, that's great. We got, they got, I think 50 of these goggles or something donated to them a year ago. And and he said they have curriculum packages. They used it. They try to use it for astrology. There's kind of a lot of pre-made videos online, and it's really easy. And there's apps and stuff. And even if you go on YouTube, you can access a lot of videos. And even for me, the astrology, I messed around with astrology video, like seeing the planets kind of firsthand and seeing the actual size difference. Like you're in space and you're looking at like how big, even me, as a grown adult, that imprinted more on me, and I actually learned so much more, like, because I experienced it. I experienced seeing the different size of the planets,
Wow.
So there is a lot of that going on. I haven't actually seen curriculum and how it's being used, but I do know that there's already these kind of like made videos. There's not a lot of underwater videos though. And I also would say, with my conversation with the science teacher here, is that, which I think happens a lot, is that all the teachers ran out of time and they actually haven't been able to use them. So they used it like one time when they first got donated, and since then the teachers don't have time and energy. So he was like, if you can bring this to my classroom with the curriculum and do it, he's like, please. And so I think that's probably a pretty, popular story of what's going on with this kind of, technology and stuff in the classroom. Classroom teachers, especially Carol. Stretched thin, I would say, but who knows, maybe with COVID and how everything is now virtual, that might be a big shift that we'll see. Is actually the virtual reality education might be a more mainstream thing. It'll be cool.
I think so too. Yes.
Great. Okay. Well, any other questions this evening from anyone? Okay. Well, Jess, I want to thank you so much. It's exciting to hear what you're working on, what you're doing, and I appreciate you sharing some of the that vulnerability of trying to figure things out, especially with all the experience you have in filmmaking and photography. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us tonight. Thank you so much for spending the last 45 minutes or so with us before the sun goes down. We hope you've enjoyed learning about this work, and we hope that you'll support it. Become a member of Friends or make a donation. You can go online or you can text it in. And again, just a quick reminder, we have a $1,000 match for this program. So if you are interested in contributing, it makes that dollar and that donation go that much further. And I'll let Jess introduce her cuteness.
Oh, look at that. That's sweet.
Who's
What's
just
the
here?
name? You got a name yet?
Yeah, this is Blueberry.
Oh, Blueberry. Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Is it golden? Golden retriever?
English cream retriever.
Oh, English. Oh, I never heard that. That's great. Oh,
Yeah, he just went on his first stand-up paddleboarding adventure today on the lake on the islands.
oh, he looks so happy. He looks
And
so
I hope
happy.
pretty soon he'll be my surface support, so he'll be up on the board while I'm snorkeling.
That's great. Oh,
I was just going to ask if we might see a paw in one of those 360 videos.
And swimming under, that'd be really cute. Yeah. We'll definitely see Blue in these, probably. Wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. If you have other questions or you want to ask Jess, you can get in touch with her through Friends. Her email and contact information is on our website. And thank you again. We hope you have a wonderful evening. Jess, any final words?
Yeah, please email me, Jess at sanjuans.org, any questions if you want to see more footage. And if you're, keep in touch. And thank you guys all for joining on this beautiful Saturday.
Well done. Good job. Let's see here. Oh, where's it going?